Hello, friends. My name is Dr. Kim DeRay. This is Triumphant Stories of Resilience podcast. It's also sponsored by Somalistic, Blueprint of Freedom, which is coming out the fall 2025. I'm excited to have you here today because the stories of resilience are amazing. I work daily or Monday through Friday with people where I hear their stories, but more importantly than their stories in trauma healing, because I'm a trauma healing specialist, I hear the power of their resilience. This place that I call resilience is going from an unknown or being thrown off course, your nervous system is thrown off course through trauma, into this place that's really painful. It's a journey and it's getting to the known or the place where you have your own control of self-care, self-preservation, and a place of self-care. How you're going to change the things that you can and then let go of the things that you can't change, like our environment, other people's behavior. And so it's really empowering yourself in this place where we go from the unknown to the known or healing of this place where you can take care of yourself, advocate for yourself, and regulate your own nervous system while doing that. None of us will get out of this world without trauma. It is a place where our world has changed so much that we don't have a lot of control of the environment. We are animals without tails, but in a sense, we're caged animals. And because of that, then our nervous systems are going to be knocked off course, or some of us never start with nervous systems that are aligned or balanced. We start with in utero trauma, birth trauma, or early developmental trauma. And so we're going to a truly an unknown place of a regulated nervous system or a nervous system that works at optimum. If we do not or not able to gather this resilience place, this place between the unknown and the known. And it's a really painful journey, just so you understand that. And a lot of people don't go towards pain because it hurts, but these courageous stories of people who walk through the pain in order to get to peace of mind and peace of well-being. That's resilience, this place of no man's land. And each of us has a different journey. I think one of the hardest things is to watch someone that we love go through that journey and understand that the only thing we can do is hold space for them to walk through that pain. For us all to have that compassion and that attention to attend to somebody that we would attend to, do it for ourselves with a deep amount of compassion and a deep amount of grace. Because a lot of times when we do that healing journey and resilience and that painful walk, we start to feel the shame, the guilt, the burdens, the places where I should have, I could have, and if you would have, but you couldn't then. And so that place where we have a deep amount of compassion for this resilient journey. And that's what this podcast is about, so that we can inspire others with our stories. We can help others in seeing that it's not you against the world. It's us that connect in pain, and the part where each one of us has our own empathetic journey, not of self-pity, but of this place where we capture and hold a really amazing empowerment of life-giving energy rather than that drain, this place of trauma that brings us to a place where we're trying so hard, but we're drained in doing that. And so through some of these stories, you'll connect with someone, I know you will, or you'll connect with all of them in how they went from an unknown to a known. But I also want you to reflect while I'm talking about your own journey and your own resilience and the place that in trauma, we're not just broken down. There's this place where we, in the face of trauma, gather a balance of I can, this place where and some of the places are life and death, but where we choose life or life-giving energy, even though it feels like we're white knuckling and climbing up a mountain while we're doing it without any ropes, this place where even that becomes resilience is that we gather this inner strength of empowerment, where we're switching out of force to power. And power is sometimes very, very quiet. It's not loud and noisy and messy, but has a deep integrity to being in relationship with yourself so that you can be in healthy relationship with others. And trauma often breaks relationship with ourselves. We often punish ourselves for things that have been put on us or done to us. And then we think, well, it must be me. It's not you. It's not you. But you do have a circumstance that is an opportunity to capture resilience, to capture and embody the best of you, where you can have life-giving energy, peace of mind, and well-being. And one of the tools that I'd like you to use is called curiosity. And curiosity is something that I think most of us have in childhood, and I think then we train out of it. But I want you to add it to your daily life. Be curious about this journey, this place of pain, resilience to well-being, and this place where balance is never a steady hold. So your nervous system might be thrown off again and again and again. But if you are able to understand the empowerment of resilience, you're able to gather a path that when you're knocked off, you're able to get back on that path again. That's part of building resilience. So I want to share with you the nervous system. And a lot of people, when they understand the picture of the autonomic nervous system, what happens to it in trauma, they're able to understand a little bit more about resilience and about how to rebalance. As you can see here, this is a picture, which I say a picture, yes, worth 1,000 words, but I'm going to give you the words to explain it. So if you can look at this picture and know that it's your autonomic nervous system, and I painted it for a reason, because when I show people this, they go, that's me, because it's so hard to explain trauma. Trauma is like holding water in your hand. It's not describable other than it feels painful. And each of us have our own metaphors for it, but it is a place without words. It is a place where we are disconnected from ourselves. We're disconnected by not being able to complete healthy, self-protective responses to complete something that we needed in fighting or fleeing. And when that happens, we go into freeze. And some people call freeze different things, disassociation, some of it call it fawning, whatever you want to call it. It's a place where there is the gas pedal and the brake pedal on at the same time, and there's a revving motor with the inability to move forward. And so it goes, I can't, I can't, I can't. I want to, but I can't. In this nervous system depiction through a painting, I want to share with you that the red dotted lines are the sympathetic nervous system, and the blue dotted lines are the parasympathetic nervous system. And we activate. We want this place to activate because we need to activate when we are under some kind of threat. When we're under some kind of threat, we activate in 5 different ways: imagery, behavior, emotion, sensation, and meaning. And that's represented by these 5 lines. So let's say you're going to take a test. And it's a little scary. Tests always scare me. You're prepared, but you get that little bit of adrenaline so that your sensory and your memory comes up and can really bring forth what you're being asked. You take the test, and then the parasympathetic nervous system, you completed that test. Yay! So the parasympathetic nervous system comes down and takes over, and you start to calm. The rest and digest comes in. You might be hungry after a test. You might be tired. You might be both. You might eat and go take a nap after a big test, especially something that was requiring a great amount of studying, but also it meant your career. Law school exams. Oh, I had to take one for my doctorate. So those kind of tests bring this place where we start to calm. After we take the test, we completed it. That's what happens then in sensory and meaning, and this place where that's a regulated nervous system. Activated when there's threat, calming then. A car comes at you. You don't want to sit there and think about it. Let's see, do I jump 3 feet to the right? You want to have that reaction in a healthy way to be able to jump out of the way when a car comes at you. What happens in trauma where we don't get to complete self-protective responses and we don't get to jump out of the way and the car hits us, we have trauma. Sometimes that's physical trauma that also leads to emotional trauma, and sometimes, more often than not, it's emotional trauma that leads to physical trauma. The nervous system then is breached in the sympathetic way. And this becomes a trauma vortex in this place where we don't get to fight, we don't get to flee, which means completing self-protective response, and we move up into freeze. And oftentimes in freeze, there are things that are happening, and it can be loosely coupled where we are depressed and we can't move forward, or it can be tightly coupled where we are so hypervigilant with a high adrenal cortisol overload, or it can be both. And then we are a spinning tornado. And sometimes that's the description of what young children who are in that freeze place says, yes, there's a tornado inside me. That's what they're feeling. In this place of freeze, we will come out of freeze. If you wait long enough, we do. But what happens with that is when we don't feel, let's say freeze is a disassociation or an analgesic, it is an analgesic to pain, or a numb, whatever that might be. When I was a child, I used to call it, I didn't know what it was, but I used to call it, I'm sitting over here and my body's over here. I was so disconnected, but I could describe it that way. No one understood what I was saying, but that's what I was saying. So, no, I'm over here and my body's over here. I remember just like pointing it out, and no one understood because I looked normal and I was compliant and I did all the right things. So no one knew the kind of pressure that my body was under in that hypervigilance, but so disconnected that I couldn't do anything except people please, be compliant, because it got lots of rewards for that. So this place where we're up in freeze, we can come out of freeze. It'll happen. But this place, which animals, and we are animals without tails, this place between freeze and the parasympathetic nervous system is what I call our second saving. It's the place that people in trauma understand the most. The second saving is if a cat jumps on a mouse will go limp, because mammals don't eat dead meat. We're the mouse gone limp under threat. We don't know when we wake up out of that freeze if the cat is still standing over us or not. So we get a surge of adrenaline so that we can, when we wake up out of that freeze, pounce on the cat and zigzag to safety. So two things happen. We get panic and anger in a flood of hormonal chemical shift, because we're animals that are built on survival. And in that survival moment, the second saving, we get that same surge that the mouse got to save itself from the predator if the predator's still there. So we come out of freeze, feel anger and panic, and either we behave to it in a non-healthy way, break more relationship, and then we move up into freeze. And most people then ride that line of coming out of freeze into sensation to feel anger and panic. And that's the line that they ride on most of their lives. And they work through life, some people so successfully, with that high adrenal cortisol overload, burning out their bodies. A lot of times these people have medical issues at the end of their life. And if you read the book Scared Sick, you will relate that ACE evaluation, that early childhood evaluation that the Kaiser Center did, that's related to health issues. When you've got trauma, it's not being dealt with, then By the time you're 50 years old, you are going to start seeing a breakdown in your body, a breakdown in your emotions. There's probably lots of breaks in relationship, but the most important one is the break in relationship to yourself, where you cannot self-care. What do we do with this piece in this journey of resilience? Ask for help so that you can start to regulate. I'm all about people asking for help with trauma-informed therapists, not somebody who is going to take you through the trauma story again. Guess what? That is actually going to activate your system to as if the trauma were happening again. And so we don't process through the story the trauma. This helps people understand that more, is we don't ask the war veteran about all the battles and people that they saw killed. That would traumatize them again, to have a conversation about it, to bring it up. And so your trauma is like a battlefield as well. So we don't heal trauma by going into the trauma story. The way our trauma and our nervous systems regulate is completing self-protective responses that didn't get completed and having a release from that, but in a helpful, healthy way that helps us keep in relationship with ourselves. This piece right here is about a 10-minute period, and the pain of the anger and panic is so bad that people have a hard time waiting it out. That's the resilience story. How long can you stand in the pain without reacting or behaving to it in a negative or unhealthy way that doesn't benefit you and dismisses who you are and dismisses the relationship that you have with yourself and other people? That's the resilience story that we're talking about, and that's how we can inspire each other to get to this place where we can regulate into the parasympathetic nervous system again and again and again, so that then we have a pattern that when we are off track, out of balance, we have a place or a path, a neural pathway, but also a body memory pathway that we can take to action in a way that we have the advocacy for ourselves. Someone asked me once, how do you know when someone is starting to heal? And I said, because I start hearing stories of how they self-care. I start hearing stories about how they ate breakfast or how they slept all night long without being awoken with the flashbacks. Or I start hearing that they took a shower. Some people are in this freeze so much that they can't even move to the simple places of washing their body. I hear they're starting to brush their teeth. I hear these wonderful places of self-nurturing, and then I know we're on our way. Remember, please, balance is never a steady hold. And so this place where you think, oh, I got to here in this parasympathetic place once, well, then I'll stay there. No, 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 no. What we're trying to avoid in this resilience and healing is that we don't do this place where we go in and out of freeze to the anger and panic and back up, which feels manic. It goes from high to low, rapidly high to low, high to low. It can be addicting too. That we are creating the frequency wave to be more of a steady place of feeling, well-being. Oh, we got triggered. Okay, now we work through some of that skilling, some of it's education, some of it's knowing, okay, we'll come back to this place that I start to feel good again. And so we want to write it like that instead of this high and low zigzaggy frequency that we have. And then we're aligning then our other brains, not just this brain, but our other brains to work together. So a lot of people hear about that mind, body, spiritual connection and alignment. And that's this nervous system regulation that I'm talking about. So it's not just the head brain. We've got a heart brain that we're working with. Our hearts have neurons and they are a memory learning organ. Our gut brain is a memory learning organ. And these all start to align. This gut brain intuition that people talk about, that's coming from this brain, this knowing place, not just this knowledge of educating and reading books, but this knowing place of guiding yourself through intuition. That place where when we have the resilience, when we're starting to connect with ourselves, that we utilize that brain to guide us through intuition. This feels right. This feels like the thing I'm supposed to do. It adds so much integrity to how we work our lives. And then this heart brain, this brain where we have so much resilience that we can see people through our hearts and connect with them. Because in this place where we are not resilient, then people look like enemies. There's so many places that I work with, and one of the hardest pieces in trauma is being harmed by another in betrayal, narcissistic abuse, where the heart has been affected, the betrayal of I love you, and then somebody abusing them and saying, I'm sorry, I love you, and then abusing them and saying, I'm sorry, I love you, is so confusing to the nervous system. And it breaks down how we view people in this resilience, and we have deep compassion for ourselves. We could connect with others and protect ourselves even by seeing people through our hearts, of knowing those people that are abusive. The reason why they're abusive is because they aren't regulated themselves. That doesn't excuse them, and it doesn't mean you have to go near them or save them, but it gives you a deep amount of compassion. The ones that are loudest, the ones that are harming the most people, those are the people that are the most insecure, the most nervous system dysregulated people. And you'll be able to guide yourself away from having relationship with them because you can see that with your heart. So this place of resilience, these triumphant stories, I'm just so excited for you to get to see these people and stay curious about your own resilience and your own story through these people's story. Because I tell you, I'm the luckiest girl on earth that I get to work in a place where I get to witness and guide people in their triumphant stories, that I get to be inspired every day by people who show me what it's like to have the courage and risk coming into my office and working through their dysregulation, harmful pieces, by taking the risk to feel the pain in resilience recovery and coming through. And so join me, stay curious about your own journey. I'd like you to journal it down in a place that's going to be helpful for you, not going over and over the story, but going over and over the emotional experiences that you have, the places where you went from I can't to I can. I want you to share that with yourself and talk real encouraging to yourself. What I'd also like you to do is I'd like you to join me in Somalistic. Somalistic is a virtual program. It's going to be 30 lessons for you to be able to regulate and come to a very good spot of knowing yourself a little bit better, staying in relationship with yourself. If you've had a significant amount of trauma, I encourage you so much to seek therapy. It won't be therapy, but boy, will it be a place that's individualized for you, that you can use in the place of resilience and healing, and a place where it's going to be interesting and I hope kind of fun, because I think the most important person in the room is going to be you. And that's what Somalistics is about. It's getting your blueprint to freedom, the place where you get to conduct your life and making choices for yourself, in this place where you have advocacy, in this place where you have empowerment, and you won't be lost in this place where the environment takes over and it's in control rather than you in control of your life and where you want it to go and how you want to design it. And I hope everybody wants to design their life in well-being and good health, and this place where you have peace of mind, peace of body. Thank you very much for joining this podcast. I am looking forward for you to meet the guests because I love this place where I get to share that little bit that I get to see in therapy. It's not therapy, but you get to see these people being vulnerable. Anyway, it's meant to inspire you. So thank you. Thank you. Bye, friends.